Welcome and thank you for tuning in. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. Talking about pet care, health care, and what to do when we're out there trying to figure out a way to keep our animals at the top of their health and to be sure that if they're not feeling so good, what is the right direction to go. There's a myriad of places that we can take our animals, but we mostly want to take them in the place that we feel most confident. And with the way that we tend to face our own health care, we're trying to find more natural alternatives and ways that we can heal, so why not pass that same sentiment on to our pets? On the program today, we're going to be joined with a certified animal naturopath. She is a certified animal naturopath in classic homeopathy, and she's also a freelance writer for several magazines. Her specialty is in feline and canine naturopathic health care, and she likes to educate the public on species-appropriate prey model nutrition. Pretty interesting stuff here. Her passion in life is definitely to improve the lives of our pets by teaching the healing powers of natural medicine as they deserve to thrive. I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program today our guest, Leisha Nunn. Leisha, thank you for joining us here on the program today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Now, tell us, what is naturopathy?
Well, animal naturopathy is based on 6 principles. The first is the healing power of nature. Animal naturopaths assist the healing process by identifying and removing obstacles to cure, and by using natural methods and medicines that work with, not against, the body's natural processes. Secondly, we identify and address the cause. Every illness has a cause. Causes may occur on the physical, mental, or emotional level, and symptoms are expressions of the body's attempt to heal, but are not the cause of the illness. So animal naturopaths remove the underlying cause of an illness rather than just eliminate or suppress the symptoms. Thirdly, we first do no harm. Animal naturopaths use methods that minimize the risk of harmful side effects. And fourthly, the original meaning of the word doctor is actually teacher. And animal naturopathy is to educate the client and to emphasize responsibility for their animal's health. Fifthly, we target the whole animal. When evaluating an animal, all aspects of that animal, physical, mental, and emotional, are taken into account. And lastly, prevention is the best cure. We all know that. Illnesses are often due to diet, habits, and general lifestyle. And animal naturopaths, we assess the risk factors and the susceptibility to disease, and then we make the appropriate recommendations to prevent health, and to prevent health challenges, or to prevent existing health challenges from developing into a more serious and chronic state. So the emphasis is basically on building health rather than treating disease. And that's the 6 principles.
That sounds very thorough, to say the least. People have certainly found confident by going into this. Now, tell us about the foundation or the cornerstone of animal naturopathy.
Well, that's interesting because around 70% of our carnivore's immune system resides in the gut. So the immune cell receptors in the gastrointestinal tract create an excellent platform for modulating the immune system through, guess what, a species-appropriate diet. Now, this is the very important part. The foundation of any raw diet is 80% meat of all kinds, which I'll get into later. Bones, 10% raw. That's important, raw. Not only is that for ripping and tearing, but the raw bones provide mental stimulation. That's also very important. And it's nature's way for our carnivores to brush their teeth and stay free and clear of gingivitis. I want to emphasize, please, nobody should ever give cooked bones. They're brittle. They're very dangerous. But raw bones, they're very pliable. And you can test that for yourself next time you have a chicken breast. You can bend them. They won't snap. And then the last 10% is offal, which is organ meat, like liver and kidneys. And liver is actually widely available. And organ meats are loaded with minerals like phosphorus, iron, copper, magnesium, iodine. And also they provide important fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, all of which a premodel diet needs. And this is a very important part. It's very important to note that the key to planning a good raw diet is variety over time, around 7 or 10 days, which ensures our carnivores are getting all the nutrients their bodies need, and the raw foods are the most digestible and absorbable nutrients that we can provide. A diet that is just fit for a carnivore. Now, a high-quality species-appropriate diet is the only good place to start for keeping our companions' immune system balanced. By feeding in this way, nature intended, we can influence our carnivores' overall wellness and optimal health to thrive, not just survive, and that's the key word. Because that's what they're doing nowadays. They're just surviving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always had concerns when you go down the animal aisle of the supermarket, for instance, and you buy your pet food. There was some of it that I would see that actually had, pictures of corn on it. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I don't remember dogs ever going out and peeling back ears of corn as part of their diet. And,
exactly.
Of course, now with the big GMO thing going on, and corn being one of the predominant crops that are part of the GMO chain, if you will.
Yes.
I remember when we first got our dog, I started, kind of looking up what's the best way to get them to eat their food. It had been a lot of years since I had owned a dog, and all of a sudden, he was just being assassinated with allergies because I was making the chicken gravy. Of course, it was flour-based to get him coerced to eating into this dry food. And so we took him in, and we had the allergies alleviated. And I thought, I'm going to just start using common sense. This is really an animal that out in the wild would normally eat meat. Maybe they might have a little bit of roughage, but for the most part, that's what they do. So
right.
I started buying chicken livers, chicken hearts, things like that. And then I started talking with someone, and they said, no, actually, you're feeding them an excellent diet because organ meats, are one of those things, as now you're reaffirming, is the big thing. And then you're also saying to eat more raw. So I do cook it a little bit. Because I noticed he was just having a hard time when I tried to do it completely raw. I just kind of threw it up. But realizing that now you could just see how healthy, our dog was becoming. It was like he was aware, he was there, he was happy, and so I was like, well, okay, so I guess I'm on the right track here.
You are, and you can actually you probably noticed how it changed almost overnight, just their coat and their stamina and their energy level. I want to go back to something you said about the regurgitation. That actually, people don't realize that cats and dogs, they will eat something because they eat things whole, and I'll get into that in a moment. If they find that it's gone down and they haven't digested it quite well, they'll regurgitate it back up and throw it up 2 or 3 times. That's actually a natural process.
Oh, okay.
So your dog wasn't doing anything incorrect, but it's okay because we think, oh my gosh, we're panicking, they're going to choke or they didn't like it. No, that's a natural process.
Okay, well that's interesting to know.
Yeah.
So you just kind of leave it there on the floor until they clean it up? Is that what you're
They normally go back and just re-eat it. Yep.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yep.
Now, tell us the difference between an herbivore, omnivore, and a carnivore.
Well, the evidence is in the jaw design. Their jaws are designed to open in a hinge fashion, allowing for grabbing, ripping, and tearing meat. Carnivores cannot move their jaws sideways, grinding their teeth. Only, and unlike the herbivore and the omnivore can. So much of their food is swallowed whole, like we were just talking about. And that's the difference.
Fascinating stuff, definitely. You wouldn't think that, people actually approaching this to find out, how do I do healthy pets and all the newfangled pet foods and the expense that goes behind a lot of these things. But really, it's just a lot of reason. Just kind of follow the chain of thought with something like this.
Yeah, exactly. It's really simple.
Now, I understand that a carnivore's digestive system is also very uniquely different. Tell us about that.
Yes, carnivores, and this is extremely important. If nothing else, if anybody doesn't take anything from this show, if they just take this one fact, carnivores do not produce the necessary enzyme, amylase, to deal with starch, cellulose, and carbohydrates in plant matter. Now, feeding carnivores as though they are omnivores, which is what we are, they tax the pancreas, and it places extreme strain on it, as it must work harder to digest foods they were never designed to eat. We then expect the animal to maintain health and thrive when the choice of foods are biologically inappropriate. And as a result, we are experiencing in epidemic proportions cancer, gum disease, autoimmune disease, degenerative organ diseases, allergies, chronic yeast infections, and many, many gastrointestinal disturbances. And these conditions are not normal, yet we're conditioned to believe they are. And the underlying cause being processed kibble.
Fascinating. Now, what about bacteria like salmonella?
That's always a very scary subject for a lot of humans, and it's normally one of the very, very first top 5 questions I get. Well, here's the fact. Bacteria lives in many species of mammals. The most common bacteria riding around in our cats and dogs is salmonella. Now, dogs and cats are built to handle bacteria loads from food that would cause significant illness in us. Their bodies are well equipped to deal with heavy doses of familiar and strange bacteria because nature built them to catch, kill, and immediately consume their prey. Now, here's another important part. Their stomachs are highly acidic with a pH range of 1 to 2.5. Now, nothing much can survive in an environment that acidic. High acid in the stomach exists to keep them safe from potential contaminants in raw food. And carnivores also naturally produce a tremendous amount of bile, which is anti-parasitic and anti-pathogenic, which basically means if something harmful isn't entirely neutralized by the stomach acid, the bile is the secondary defense. So they're safe.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So they have a lot more resilience than we give them credit for, it sounds like.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely amazing.
So really what I'm hearing you say is if people could stay away from the processed kibble, then try to go toward a more natural raw diet, which isn't real hard to do,
Nope.
then you're not going to see a lot of these human-related problems that these animals are beginning to have.
Absolutely correct.
Like I said, he hasn't had any kibble in his diet for more than a year now. So.
When I've had clients who had a cat and a dog on kibble for several years, and then we transition them over, after about 7 months to 1 year, nearly every single one of their ailments will disappear. It's amazing to watch the transformation. And also, their teeth become pearly white again.
Oh, okay. Now, you were saying earlier that the diet should be about 80% meat, 10% raw bones, and then 10% organ meat. Give us an example of how that would look.
Absolutely. Well, over like I said, you need to do some variety over a 7 or 10 day period. So I'll give you an example of what I do with my cat is over 7 or 10 days when I go to New Seasons or Whole Foods, I will, and all my clients will do this, we will buy top sirloin, tri-tip, buffalo, chicken or turkey, lamb and pork, or veal, rabbit, Cornish hen, all of those kinds of meats. And then for the dogs, we'll get them like baby back pork ribs, any kind of really nice large chicken bones or turkey bones. We'll get them chicken frames and wings and necks for the cats so they can clean their teeth. And all of those meats that I've just suggested, you'll buy like 3 or 4 of those in that 1 week, and then you'll just rotate them along with some fish like sardines, which is excellent for cats, and tuna, and salmon for cats, not for dogs, obviously. And then eggs, the yolk, raw, can't beat it, several times a week. And then the liver and the kidneys are widely available, and if you can go to anywhere where they can give you pancreases and hearts, even better, and tripe. But that's pretty hard to come by, but you can do it depending on where you live.
Mm-hmm.
And you just find like 5 or 6 of those in 1 week, and you buy those, and then you just you rotate daily, and then you buy 5 or 6 different ones the next week. It's that simple, and you just put them down on the ground.
And what's really fascinating, too, is it's very inexpensive than buying processed dog food.
It's extremely, yes, because like I'll give you an example today when I went and got tri-tip and ahi tuna, both raw, 5 ounces each. So that cost me $11, but it's 7 meals for a cat. Very cheap.
Yeah, sounds like it. Now, tell us about some of the other modalities that you help in helping to promote pet health.
Absolutely. 2 of them are my main ones, is Bach flower remedies. Now, their purpose is mainly in helping to heal on the negative emotional states. And that is to say, states of mind and mood that cause suffering or which are the result of suffering. And these states of mind include emotions like sadness, fear, anxiety, defensiveness, trauma, past or present, and neglect. And the great thing is these are 100% safe, inexpensive, and widely available throughout the world. And the greatest thing is these animals respond to them particularly well, sometimes showing signs of improvement within minutes. Now, amongst the plant-based natural remedies, which are herbs, essential oils, and homeopathy, Bach flower remedies occupy a very special, unique place, not just because they are prepared like no other type, but also because they're so simple to learn and use. And it's impossible to cause any problems with them or make a mistake, because if you do, by choosing an inappropriate remedy, it can be easily and quickly fixed by just simply choosing another one. I know. And then the other modality that I practice, and I have practiced for several years, is homeopathy. And this is known as the law of similars. The animal naturopathic doctor, they formulate remedies based on an animal's unique symptoms and characteristics. This means that if 2 animals who have the same health problem, they may receive a different remedy because their symptoms are different. It requires a very skilled, trained homeopath, and I've been a practiced classical homeopath for many years now.
So I take it that animals really come jumping out and springing full of activity and energy when they leave your office, don't they?
They can, yes. In this line, I deal with every kind of animal across my path, but my specialty is definitely animals from neglect, or if people have saved animals from a pound or a shelter. We don't know what's happened in their past. And so certain Bach remedies, like I'll give one example, is Star of Bethlehem, is for trauma of the past. Well, we don't know. We can tell that they might be very timid or sad or down or whatever, but they may have been traumatized. And so placing the Bach remedy in their food or on their coat, the owners are flabbergasted. You can see the difference within 10 minutes. You can get them out from under the bed by just spraying it in the air within 10 minutes.
You know, here's a big one we haven't touched on, fleas. What do we do about this? Is there a natural way to approach getting rid of fleas? Yes,
there is. The first and foremost is, again, and I'm going to go back to this, is the species-appropriate diet. It's the cornerstone of wellness for any carnivore, for their health or longevity. So here it is. If a carnivore has a very strong immune system and is eating a raw, species-appropriate prey model diet, their blood is very rich in nutrients. And when a flea jumps on a carnivore or a species like that and starts to bite, it does not like the taste of the blood. It will jump back off.
Oh, wow.
So that's the first thing, is you don't even have to go anywhere else. I used to have cats that went in and out and some that stayed in, and I still had never had a flea.
Wow.
Because all of them had a very strong immune system, and that's the key. However, if you do want to do something topically, it's essential oils.
Okay.
And you can buy specific essential oils to apply to animals, and apply it topically from a trained, which I also do, from a trained person in that field. And you only want to use young, living essential oils for that, and that's important. Not essential oils from the store; they're too toxic. Just any oils from young, living.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when you think about dealing with the flea problem, and you go to the pet store and you buy what's available, what your thoughts are on some of the products that are available out there.
They're quite dangerous. Mm-hmm. They're just quite very dangerous. All I want to say, they're very dangerous. I go into detail with a client one-on-one when I talk to them about that, but that's going to sum it up right there. I wouldn't suggest it.
Well, no more than Roundup is good for the yard, right?
Oh my gosh, that is so true. I mean, you've just hit it on the head, actually.
Now, yeah. Alicia, how can people find out more? Is there a website or a way they can get in touch with you?
There is a different way for me. I'm quite the old-fashioned gal, and I'm going to stay that way. I love it. You can email me directly at Moonlight Homeopathy, and I'm going to spell that for everybody. Is MOONLIGHTHOMEOPATHY. That's all one word. Moonlight Homeopathy at Comcast.net, and you can email me anytime, 24/7, or you can even call me anytime at 503-350-0865, and I will get back with you. Now, I do prefer to talk to the individual. Connecting with them is very important, allowing me to answer all of their questions and concerns, and to be, have everything be addressed in detail, as you can probably tell. And then I provide written download information for them, so all is remembered, and the client can review it whenever they need. And also, I want them to be able to get in touch with me many times in the future if they want to. If they have a problem. Mm-hmm. It's very important.
Just to go back and recap a little bit. First of all, what I wanted to address is that sometimes as I would share this, what I do with my dog, and he's sort of a small dog, about 35 pounds. Is that I feed him naturally, just like what we were talking about earlier. It's usually, chicken livers or chicken hearts, or I'll go to the meat reduction section, and realize I can get a London broil for $2. Mm-hmm. Right. And like you said, it's several meals. Just one little tub of the chicken livers is usually 3 to 4 meals, on its own.
Yes.
But anyway, that being said, is that, the whole idea is to go back to Rob, but sometimes what you'll get is professionals out there that will try to say, well, that sounds good, but the thing about the processed foods that are available out there is that they have a balance of nutrition that your dog or your cat needs.
Yes.
And I listen to that and I think to myself, now are these guys just trying to take the confidence of what I feel an animal would be doing naturally anyway?
Yes. That's absolutely true. And if you think logically, mm-hmm. First of all, we'll use a mouse as an example, a mouse, and that's why again I went to my title is Species Appropriate Model Prey Diet, variety over time. You don't want to have a cat and say give it chicken and chicken wings for the rest of its life. That would be very out of balance. So if you do a tri-tip in the morning and a sardines in the afternoon, and the next day you do a liver and you do ahi tuna and then some chicken or turkey, you see how you do the variety over time, and then egg the next morning. And if you have a dog with a chronic condition or a cat with a chronic condition, you can get actual liquid vitamins to assist the immune system for a while. So it is actually incorrect saying that a raw diet is not balanced. If you're not educated, you could make some mistakes, mm-hmm. Definitely. But that's what we are here for now, is to educate the public, saying, let's go back to basics, let's go back to logic, and think about what they do in the wild. And if you just stick to the list that I give you and rotate, you will do just fine.
Okay, that sounds reasonable enough. And to get back to that list again, it was 80% meat. 10% raw bones.
Yes.
And that's to help clean their teeth.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
And then 10% organ meat is what you suggest.
Absolutely. Just keep it that simple.
Okay, and a way that they can get in touch with you again?
Is at Moonlight Homeopathy at Comcast.net, or call me directly at 503-350-0865, and you can contact me 24/7.
And we'll certainly post that on our website as well at beyond50radio.com. Leisha, thank you so much for clearing the air about a lot of this. I think people are going to feel a lot more confident that you don't listen or read to what's on the bag. You just go and you say, oh, this is what it is, And
exactly.
Like I said, if you can't identify your food and you've got some long word telling you what it is, then you're probably eating the wrong thing.
Well, the last
so
thing
is
you can
your
do
pet.
is you can always try and eat the kibble yourself, but I haven't found one client that will do it yet.
No, I wouldn't do that either. Alicia, thank you so much for joining us here on the program today.
You're very welcome.
We want to thank you listeners out there for tuning in. This is a great way to take care of your pets, the natural approach. And if you got concerns or questions, Alicia is certainly someone that you need to call to find out more. As she said, she is a species-appropriate naturopath. I'm Daniel Davis. Thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. And remember, live your day past halfway.